Hello, welcome to Scarlxrd Record Review, episode 89, 90, who cares? It's the only new music review show hosted by a French professor immediately after leaving the YMCA, which is right behind me. I'm recording in the car, it's wicked cold, but I have to tell you about Scarlxrd and his album Infinity. Now that's actually spelled Scarlxrd. He stylizes all the O's to be X. Why? I don't know. I'm not a Scarlxrd fan. I can tell you that I'm starting to wonder if all of these little ciphers and letters being replaced is just stylization, or if it's an indication that we are running out of things to say, so we just have to make different letters. I don't know. I ended the last episode by introducing my new catchphrase. Let's see if I can remember it. Listening to new music is the fountain of mental youth. So the idea is if you listen to new music that challenges you, it'll help keep you young. It's all tied into this theory that I have, and other people have too, that when you turn 25, your mind closes, and you determine that all music that was before was fine, and all music that is new is bad. So I've been really forcing myself to listen to music that I'm not drawn to, and I'm trying to find the value in it. In particular, new trap rap music. So I grew up in the era of NWA, and I remember Run DMC, and I knew Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac and Jay-Z, and everything was just the real hip-hop, or so I thought. And so trap music appears to be just garbage. It's just the bass, tinkly little pianos or whatever. And so it's hard for me to see any kind of distinction between these things. So that's what I do. I try and challenge myself to listen to this. And today's album was definitely a challenge. In fact, I think I'm going to name this video the Scarlxrd Challenge. Because the first time, I was listening to the song for the first time. It's Sunday morning. It's before, my kids are up, before church, all that stuff. I haven't really had any coffee. And I'm listening to this, and I instantly get a headache. And I had a headache the whole time I was listening to this. Because this dude yells the entire record. Okay, like that. That's a lot of energy for how cold. I guess it's because I'm cold. That's why I have so much energy. There's a stultifying sameness on this album. Every track is just bass, little tinkly keyboards, and then some guy yelling. And so I wanted to give myself a challenge, is there something here? And I think there is. I think it's really worth spending a little more time with. This guy's from England, and so it was also kind of funny because last week I reviewed Dave and the album Psychodrama, and I loved that album. That video is getting a lot of respect on YouTube. I think it's one of my better videos, actually. Check it out if you haven't, just because I get to get all professory. So I think in some ways you could consider this the anti-Dave, okay? So, Dave is lushly produced. It's thematically consistent. You can understand every word he says, even if you don't understand what every word means. Meanwhile, Scarlxrd is just screaming, and you can't really hear anything, and it's just angry, and it just feels like just trap modern crap. But let's go a little bit deeper. It's more than just clarity versus obscurity. I think you could say that even though these are both hip-hop, they're sort of different genres within hip-hop. But they still do the same thing that hip-hop does. So yesterday, I was driving around with my son, and we were talking about music, as we like to. And he was actually talking to me about music genres. I was like, am I recording now? And he was asking me is rock and roll dead? Is soul dead? And I was trying to well, what do you mean by is soul dead? I mean, Marvin Gaye music is dead, but Usher music is not dead. That's still going. You know what I mean? Depending on how you define soul. And basically I tried to break it down in between living and dead genres. Because we were listening to Jimi Hendrix, the original Voodoo Child, the blues one, and he asked me, is there any blues now? I'm like, yeah, there's blues, but the genre's dead. It doesn't serve any function. It no longer does what blues did. Rock and roll took that over. Soul and funk took that over. Hip-hop took that over. Blues was the voice of the voiceless. It was the voice of African Americans in America trying to express themselves, trying to make enough money to live, trying to show their experience to others. And now it's dead. It's not bad. It's just dead. That's okay. Things can die. I gave the other example of Greta Van Fleet. It's not that they're bad. It's that Led Zeppelin's dead. Classic rock is just dead. Just move on. So when we talk about hip hop, obviously hip hop is alive, but so much of like that classic hip hop is dead. You know, that meaning stuff. And this trap is what's alive and what's moving. And if you go deeper in this guy's music into Scarlxrd, you discover that actually what he's doing isn't always the same as what hip hop is doing. He's actually making a punk album. And by that I mean like someone yelling and screaming and just expressing anger. Just anger and rage. Like I think he says in one song, I want you to F yourself until you bleed. Just like, ah! And like it transfers from, even though it's using the hip hop sound and he's a black guy, so, you know, presumably he didn't grow up listening to Minor Threat. It's doing a lot of those same things. And really, it's kind of like what Dave is doing. You know, there's a song called No Pressure or NX Pressure. And he just says, I don't want to do this anymore. It's a song all about like depression and suicide. So it's actually not that far away. You know, these are both artists underrepresented in their culture, using hip hop in different ways, in different side genres to express themselves and to bring voice to the voiceless. I'm glad I listened to it. I ask you to take the Scarlxrd challenge. Post your results here in the comments because it turns out I care about comments and stuff. You know, listen. Yeah, maybe don't listen to the whole thing. Maybe just listen to No Pressure. You know, the song. I'll put a link into it. I guess it gets my stamp, although I don't love it. But it's interesting. It really challenges me as somebody who grew up on old school hip hop to find the value. And the value is, it's the voice of rage. It's the voice of anger. It's the voice of youth screaming out. And that's sort of the point of music. I almost went into a side diatribe about a rapper in my son's middle school, but I'm going to save that for later. Ironically, the best song is actually the worst song. And by that I mean there's a song that breaks from the unity of the entire album. That song's called Head Gone. Head, G-X-N-E. And that's just like an awesome crime drama, and he's talking about guns, and he's talking a little bit about money. For the first time in the album, he's talking about money, really, and he's talking about prestige and crime, but it's the best produced song. It's actually, that does get a stamp. That's like a really good track, but it doesn't fit in with the rest of the album. So there you go. Scarlxrd, Infinity. Take your time with it. See what you can find in it. Is there any value to it? It's extremely challenging, but rewarding. New music is the fountain of mental youth. There's the camera. It's catching on.